Hello everybody, Sam Darley here, and today I will break down the NFC North draft needs of the Detroit Lions. Detroit made the playoffs last year. Excuse me. Excuse me. They made the playoffs last year. They got bounced in the first round by the Cowboys on a questionable, well, I wouldn't, well, there's 9 minutes left. But a questionable picked up flag, I mean, that necessarily didn't cost them the game. It was a big no call though. But like the Cincinnati Bengals, the Detroit Lions haven't made it past the first round in quite some time. So moving on, they lost to Dominican Sue. That's going to be, excuse me. That's going to be a gigantic loss. No matter what Lions fan, I don't know what anybody says, I don't care what anybody says. When you got a guy like a Dominican Sue, a guy that can flat out manhandle quarterbacks, running backs, and anybody else in that backfield for the opposing offense, and you lose that, excuse me, gosh, it's cost annoying. You lose to a guy like Dominican Sue, it's kind of like the Texans losing J.J. Watt. It's going to have a big impact. So what do they need in the draft? Well, they need to find a Dominican Sue's replacement. That's tough. That's not going to be easy. And people will say, well, defensive tackle's not that important. Oh, sure, let's look at all the best run defenses. Guess what they all have? Top-notch defensive tackles. They have top-notch linebackers as well. I mean, obviously, you got linebackers, but for the most part, they got a guy in the middle that literally can stand you up at the line like that. Excuse me. So, Detroit. What does Detroit need? Well, they need a running game to take the pressure off Matthew Stafford. Oops, sorry. Thought about getting a drink there, but I don't think I will. Anyways, getting off topic. Back on track. They need a running game. They need to find a running back. Maybe they'll take Melvin Gordon. Maybe that's a wild card team for Melvin Gordon in this draft. Or maybe they'll take somebody else. I don't see Gurley being a top-notch running back in the NFL. I just have major concerns. I mean, what if that ACL injury causes him to lose some of that explosiveness that he had at Georgia before the injury? And he is a running back, and running backs plus ACL tears, it's just not a good combination. It's not a combination I would take a chance on in the first round of the draft. I'm sorry. I wouldn't do it. So, they need a running game. They need a running back. They let go Reggie Bush. That was a pretty smart move, if you ask me. I don't think Reggie is at a point in his career where he's not an every down player anymore. They need, like I said, they need to find Sue's replacement. That's not going to be easy. But maybe they can find a good player at that position that can have the same kind of, maybe a similar, not necessarily a similar impact, but a guy that can at least prevent massive running games against the Detroit defense. God, I get irritated with this cough. Sorry. They need a linebacker. They need some linebacking help. Now they've lost Sue, they're going to need a lot more. They're going to need everybody to kind of chime in on that run defense. Because, I mean, like I said, Sue is like a J.J. Watt. And people don't get the importance of defensive players. If you don't have a defense that could consistently be week in and week out be an absolute nightmare for opposing offenses and keep good offenses at bay, how are you going to win? You can't win shootouts. You cannot. You've got to have a defense. You've got to have a defense. And guys like J.J. Watt, I could see those guys that can single-handedly carry a defense. Yeah, those guys are pretty important. And losing him really is going to hurt. I don't buy the BS that he's saying, where he says he would have stayed in Detroit he was going to Miami. I mean, he wasn't staying in Detroit. I was really surprised to sign with Miami though. But Detroit's team needs the biggest need in the draft and the most pressing need is offensive line. I thought Stafford kind of took a pretty big beating last year. Maybe, and they might want to think about receiver. I mean, how old's Calvin Johnson now? 30, 31? Not saying he's old, but it's time to start thinking. It's time to start thinking about the receiving core. Yeah, I don't think that's a pressing need. I will say they need. They'll need. I think they'll need some cornerback help. That might be a position they address in the first round. And again, I don't know where they're gonna go. They could go a variety of ways. They're a pretty intriguing team in this draft. They need offensive line help. They need defensive tackle badly now. They need depth on the defensive line. I think when you lose a guy like Sue, you're gonna need to put. You're gonna need more. You're gonna need. A guy like Sue, you don't really need as much help. You need 2 or 3 guys that can, 2 or 3 two edge rushers that can consistently get to the quarterback. And now that Sue's gone, you're gonna need a little bit more on that line to help guys like Nick Fairley, and I'm not really sure who else is on that line. That's just how good Sue was. I mean, Sue was literally the best player on that defense. Well, up front, offensively. They got 2 good receivers, and Calvin Johnson and Golden Tate. Tight end, they got Eric Ebron in last year's draft. I don't think he quite picked up the NFL game just yet. I think everybody kind of put this pressure that he was the next Jimmy Graham. I don't know he needs to have a bigger role next year, or at least attempt to have a bigger role. They definitely need offensive line. They need running back. Excuse me. They need to have. They need to find a way to become a more balanced offense, because it seems like they're very much a run and shoot type offense. Pretty much, Matthew Stafford's a gunslinger. He's a good quarterback. They don't need. They need to put the pieces around him, continue to build around him, and they need to start building off success. I mean, the last time they made the playoffs, they ended up missing it, 2 years in a row? They need to start building off of their recent success. Tell me what you think the Detroit Lions need. What do they need? Do they need defense? Do you think they need defense? Do you think they need offense? I want your opinion. This has been Sam Darley with Sports Talk. Thanks for watching.